4 rounds of boxing in the cruiserweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the blue with black. He weighed in at 186 pounds. His first fight was a draw. Tonight he's looking for his first victory. From Boston, Massachusetts, Tracey the Titan Johnson!
I think it's beautiful. I think he's doing a great job. Yeah.
And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing the black trunks. He weighed in at a trim and ready 181 pounds. He has 1 victory, no defeats. That 1 victory coming by way of knockout. From Hamlet, North Carolina, Daquan Morgan. Referee George Chip with final instructions.
Welcome back ringside. Vince Ferrara, Preston Halliburton, our 4th bout of the night. It's Daquan Morgan against Tracey Johnson. Tracey Johnson in the blue trunks with a black trim, and Daquan Morgan in the black trunks, and both with red gloves. Daquan Morgan is 1-0, weighing in at 181. Tracey Johnson 0-1, weighing in at 186. What do you think about that size difference between the two? Is that a factor in this 4-round cruiserweight bout, Preston?
Absolutely. Every pound's a factor. Of course, as you get in heavier weights, obviously, a pound is it proportionally doesn't mean as much as when you're weighing 126 pounds. 10 pounds means a lot.
Right.
But I have seen Johnson fight before. The guy does have some very heavy hands. He does have a good amateur background as well.
Tracey Johnson from Atlanta. He's a southpaw, 5'7", and his 1 bout against Terry Carter. Oh, wow. Tracey Johnson, look at that combination, the activity. Morgan just trying to elbow his way out of the corner. He's being bullied by Tracey Johnson.
Incredible combination by a big man right there.
But the activity, the hand speed, I mean, to be that active.
If you notice, Vince, I think Johnson got a call late on this fight. There's been some cancellations. His opponent, Morgan, is trying to utilize the fact that his opponent might be a little bit soft around the midsection. He's trying to go to the body early, but he better watch out not to get caught in the head. He's hoping that Johnson will run out of gas, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a station in sight tonight, because he's going for broke here, Johnson.
Boy, Johnson, again, very, very active, and his hair is starting to come out. He had tied up. It's starting to come out now as he has been very active here in this first round.
That's where Johnson wants him, Vince. He wants to be the bully, get his opponent into the corner, and slowly break him apart.
And we got a break there from referee George Chip. Our 4th bout of the night in the first round here. Morgan now, the aggressor, backing in Johnson into the corner. Johnson trying to punch his way out and protect.
It's Johnson's turn now. That was a very passive-aggressive defensive move. Johnson shelled up an old Olympic-style shell and came out of it like a peekaboo, now a shark.
Wow.
Let his opponent punch himself out, and now he's going to work.
Look at that. Look at Johnson's activity as Morgan was just leaning back on the ropes.
Now Johnson's going to do the same thing. Shell up, let his opponent expose himself, catch him with a nice tight uppercut probably.
But you still are scoring, though. I mean, with that activity, judges are still looking at that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. But they're not clean punches. I mean,
Johnson took a straight left and now is invited in, and Johnson obliges, and then they tie up right now. They're going to let him fight through in his final seconds of this second round. Try to finish with a flurry. Wow. A lot of activity for cruiserweights. Who would you give that first round to, Preston?
I'm gonna give that round to Johnson. He landed some very powerful punches. I'm gonna give a lot of respect to his opponent Morgan, though. This guy stood in there and took big punches from a bigger man. So I hope Johnson's got enough to go the distance, because he does look a little soft this evening, or not as good a shape as I've seen him in.
Right. Tracey Johnson, born in Boston, but works and trains out of Atlanta, Georgia. His 1 bout that was a draw, that was against Terry Carter earlier this year in August. That was at the Buckhead Theater in Atlanta, and now this is the second time out. As a professional, certainly has a lot of bouts in the amateur ranks as well.
Sure, absolutely. He's a veteran in the boxing world.
All right, the Tecate girls put up the big 2 sign for round number 2, and we're underway here in the second round. Ringside Vince Ferrara and Preston Halliburton of the Georgia Boxing Championships, and now Morgan on the aggression here early on in the second round. Now he waits back, inviting Johnson to come at him.
I tell you, this fight is back and forth. Morgan's corner must have admonished him, don't let this guy be the bully. So Morgan went out and pushed Johnson into the corner right off the bat, let him know, you're not going to bully me. And that can be ineffective when you're fighting a bigger man. Don't always stick and move and run.
Very interesting the way this has played out in both of them, as you kind of mentioned. And there now the aggressor is Morgan.
Body punches are going to take a toll if Johnson's not in top shape. And he is breathing with his mouth wide open. It concerns me. You see the mouth open, Vince?
A couple body shots connected for Johnson, but then, excuse me, for Morgan, and then Johnson responded, and they're back towards the middle of the ring, and now it looks like Morgan is trying to bait him back in. Oh,
left hand.
That left stuck Preston.
Yeah, it just missed the mark. He caught him squarely on the chin. Could have been an early night for him.
That is definitely a scoring punch for sure, and got the attention of the judges. So, but I was mentioning earlier, it's very interesting how both of them are just trying to bait each other in and punch each other out. And now Johnson going to work with the shell in the corner from Morgan.
I'm going to tell you, those punches take a lot of energy to throw. You have to be in top shape to throw those kind of punches.
And the referee, excuse me, Preston, George Shipp did not break them. I think Morgan anticipated it, and an uppercut just bounced the chin up of Morgan. They're back in the middle of the ring now, and now Johnson shells up, and Morgan going after him up against the ropes.
I can tell you, this is an exciting fight. This is a crowd-pleasing fight.
Oh, a right, a left, and then back with a left, and now a combination, and some of those have really connected, and now Johnson's trying to hang on. Wow, that's the most trouble I think we've seen Johnson here early in this fight.
Well, exactly, Vince, and he shook his head that he wasn't in trouble, and we know what that means. He was.
when you say no, it means yes. Oftentimes as a boxer.
Absolutely, it's all posturing in the ring. When you're tired, you stand up front and look like you're fresh.
And the referee, excuse me, Preston, go ahead.
And when you're fresh, you look like you're tired. Oh, nice combination.
Johnson has Morgan stunned in the corner, and now Morgan going to punch out. Wow, it's interesting. Johnson decided just to cover up and maybe backed off a little bit.
I think he realizes he doesn't have, this kid's taking good shots. It was smart to back up.
Now Morgan has Johnson up against the ropes. And that's the end of round number 2. Wow, a lot of activity in that second round for these big guys. Who would you give that second round to, Preston?
That's a tough round. I couldn't call that round. I don't know. What do you think, Vince?
I mean, I would give it just maybe a slight edge to Hester. Johnson certainly had some moments, but I might give a slight edge to Hester. I mean Morgan, I think it's at Morgan. I think I'd give him just a slight edge, but hey, a strong close there by Johnson.
Well, I know that the most definitive punch was that straight left hand by Morgan in the round.
Yeah.
And then the uppercut in the corner when Morgan thought that there was a break. However, the beginning of the round, now that I think about it, first 10 seconds, Morgan ran out and met Johnson in the center ring, pushed him back, and unloaded a nice series of combinations that probably could have edged out on that round. He might have gotten that round. And when you see a fighter like Johnson, mouth wide open, his hair everywhere, that can have an influence on the judges.
It is. I mean, I pointed it out.
Sure.
And you wonder if that, it's just kind of like when your face looks like it's been taking a beating.
Sure.
It's an impression.
It is an impression.
And Morgan now on the attack as Johnson backs into the ropes, and now Hester will try to connect through. Nice uppercut from the defensive position from Johnson, who now swing things around. He's stuck a left, and now they'll try to work their way out of that corner. These punches, a lot of them being blocked, but you talked about that takes a toll.
It takes a toll, but I tell you, Johnson uses the shell defense as an offense. he baits a smaller guy into thinking that he can actually stand in there and exchange punches. So Morgan comes in and he gets caught with an uppercut.
And Johnson really retreating big time, and Morgan chased him into the corner.
Uppercuts every time. In the exchanges, the bigger man is using
and nice, excuse me, Preston, nice switch out now. The punches to the body, then upstairs, and now Morgan trying to punch out. Oh, that just a little mini, was it a mini hook?
It was a chop hook. A
chop hook?
Short chop hook with a right hand. You don't normally tell a fighter to lead with a hook, but during an exchange, you're squared up. You don't take the risk of a counter left hook at that point. Well, you get countered with a right hand, though. Now, here we see Johnson in the Olympic style, almost peekaboo stance again.
Does Morgan have his hands down too much, in your opinion, other than when he's just shelling up? I mean, right now, when they're in the center of the ring, does he have his hands too low for you?
Well,
uppercut connects. Sorry, Preston, go ahead.
I'll say this. A fighter keeping his hands down, there can be a purpose for that. It's to bait his opponent in. But if the purpose is you're being lazy or undisciplined, no, that's not a good thing.
So it's not necessarily a
no,
bad
Roy
or
Jones,
alarming.
Mayweather,
Yeah.
they want their opponent to take a shot at the head so they can slip and counter.
Right.
It can create an angle that you cannot generate from an orthodox stance.
Oh, nice jab there from Morgan as Johnson came in, and there's that counter.
That was a little left check hook.
Explain that, check hook.
Well, it's when you got an individual that's a nice combination by Johnson.
Oh, that shot to the body, excuse me, from Johnson again.
Just the sheer physics. The bigger man laying on the smaller man, that's not where you want a smaller man to be. In the center of the ring is where you want your fighter to be, a smaller man.
Now they switch again. Just taking turns, one defensive and one aggressor.
And imagine if the smaller man decided he didn't want to take turns. He didn't want to let the big man lay on him. He wanted to get back in the center of the ring when he needs to rest instead of lay on the ropes. And, Johnson never able to land. He's not landing in the middle of the ring.
Jab there blocked by Johnson.
Right there.
Yep. Little uppercut connecting for Morgan. Another very interesting round. Who'd you score that round to, Preston?
It was interesting. I'm gonna go with Morgan that round.
And you were explaining the check hook, Preston.
The check hook is oftentimes used when you have a counter puncher facing a very aggressive fighter. When they're charging in, rather than throw a big looping hook, you just throw a small pivot hook with your left hand. If you're an orthodox fighter like Floyd Mayweather hit Ricky Hatton with, it doesn't take the full torque or explosion. It's just a nice little check with your hips. You check your hips and a short left hook, and it magnifies the volume of the punch because the other fighter's coming in. So you see it as a counter mechanism. You don't see a lead check hook. You check them after they've thrown.
Is that almost like are you checking for space as well? Is that part of it?
It is spacing, but it does take the proper spacing to land it. But mainly, it's not a complete hook thrown by a professional fighter with full force behind it. It's just a nice counter on the inside.
And they're starting out in the center of the ring, and
Morgan's done that in the last two rounds of some early combinations. I wonder if that's playing on the judge's mind.
Morgan very aggressive, backing Johnson in, shots to the body. Fans enjoy that action, but Johnson covering up some of those shots being blocked, but judges may still be looking at that activity of those punches thrown.
And I can tell you, Vince, Morgan has won the beginning of the last two rounds and the end. Sometimes that can really play into a judge's mindset. The first and the last thing you see.
Now, if you're just looking at them to see who looks like who's worse for wear, it looks like Johnson has taken more of a beating than Hester. Is that
definitely not the case, but
right.
It does appear that way.
Right.
I think Johnson's landed the more clean, powerful shots.
Shot to the body. Oh, man. You can hear those throughout the Thomas Murphy Ballroom here at the Georgia World Conference Center. Oh, nice. And Morgan got caught coming in. And that uppercut clean, a right and a left.
He's got him hurt. Morgan's falling and punching.
And now here's Morgan responding. Now Johnson covers up. He nods his head ringside, says, no, I'm good.
Beautiful fight.
Oh, he ate a straight left coming in from from Morgan.
We're privileged to be able to watch two great athletes go at it like this in Atlanta. I admire both of them. Anybody step in there and take those kind of shots.
Well, the fans there were patient. Oh, what a shot to the body from Johnson in the blue trunks.
I have to say it wasn't a shot. He bangs him to the ribs. He just bangs his ribs. He doesn't punch. It's an explosive bang.
And they exchange blows and connections there, and they do it a second time. Pretty good hand speed for these two guys, too,
Great
for their
hand
size,
speed for
right?
cruiserweight. They are cruiserweights, yeah. Great hand speed.
Tied up, but still no break from referee George Chip.
That was a little low.
Again, exchange punches. Boy, both of these fighters have connected. Now it's Johnson back against the ropes with Morgan going to work. Now leaning into Johnson against the ropes is Morgan.
I'll tell you, Johnson does have the ability to get complete leverage on a lot of his shots, and that's difficult to do on the inside.
Morgan caught Johnson coming in. Final seconds of our fourth and final round of this 4-round cruiserweight bout. Swing and a miss from Morgan, and they'll tie up, and that will be the end of the fourth and final round.
Quite easily, I could give that a draw. That fight quite easily a draw.
So who would you give that a fan favorite here with the decision? Jesus Tavera with a win over Henry Chenault. Let's go to the ring with our official announcement from Jose Santiago, our ring announcer.
Richard Sales scored the contest 39-37. Ed Canner and Erwin Deutsch scored the contest 38-38. We have a majority draw. Ladies and gentlemen, they gave it their all here in the ring. Let's